Peace, kings and queens. Peace, kings and queens. Welcome to this live. As always, I am one third of the Podnas, your boy Tiz. And I want to thank you for joining me for a conversation that I am very excited to discuss. This is the beginning of a little series. Um, it's about marriage. I want to first say thank you to the replay gang, the people that's watching this back, and to the new people who may be watching this video for the first time. This will probably be a short live, but if anything in this video happens to resonate with you, or if the conversation is one that you enjoyed, think about liking and subscribing. It helps our channel and allows us to continue these conversations going forward. Also, if this video is something you think would help or maybe spark thought in someone else, share it with others. This is the first in a trilogy of lives I'm gonna be doing where I'm gonna be giving my 5 tips for men who are wanting to get married, 5 tips for men who are engaged, and then 5 tips for men who are married for at least 5 years already. I was inspired to start this series because, for one, I am happily married and love to see other successful relationships as well. Also, I noticed that the conversations our podcast gets the most engagement with is usually our relationship and man perspective stuff. So this kind of has been something that I've been mulling around on doing for a while. And then when I posed this during a conversation around similar themes on another chat, one of our viewers said that it would be a good idea. So, but my heart is already leaning a certain way, and the people who support me seem to have an interest in the same thing. I feel like let's do it. So I listened. So here we go. Today, I'm going to be focusing on the 5 things that men should do or know if they are thinking about getting married. This list is mainly for the guy like me about 15 years or so ago, when I first got with my wife. And this is for the kind of guy who feels like he's ready to settle down or find a long term wife or wifey, but they either don't know how to kind of get it started, or they are struggling with whatever they are currently doing and they're just looking for some more things to throw in their toolkit to be a little bit stronger and actually nail down that woman of their dreams or that queen that they're looking for. Um, I want to be clear. I'm not or have never been a relationship therapist, counselor, or any type of medical professional or psychiatric professional. So if you have serious issues or you want a professional opinion and recommendation, please seek your nearest counselor, therapist, psychologist, or psychiatrist. Every person is different and every relationship is different. Peace and blessings, Queen. What's going on, K Um, yeah, every person is different, every relationship is different. So there's no one size fits all for relationships. What this is just wisdom that's been given to me by people far smarter than myself, in relationships more successful than mine, even. And this list is compiled of the things that either I failed at along the way, or that by doing these things, it allowed me and my wife to get to a place where we were ready to make the ultimate commitment, which is marriage. So these 5 things help prepare me for long-term relationship building, and it pretty much helped me improve myself to become the king that was able to lock down my queen. So thank y'all for having this discussion with me, and hopefully you will share your own thoughts and opinions, which may refine or edify this list. So um, with that being said, I'll be highlighting and speaking to comments from the chat that I feel are profound to move the conversation further. Also, the panel link is pinned to the top of the chat for anyone who is married, or who has expertise in this lane, or who has a thought or addition to the conversation. And I will also be responding to all comments. So if you have a thought that comes after you watch this, feel free to drop it in the comments, so that we can continue this conversation, and so that not only the people listening, but also myself can come away with some new gems that can just make us better husbands and kings for our queens. So with that being said, let's rock. So the first thing that I wish I had known, or that a man should know or do before they actually get married, or if they're thinking about getting married, is to heal past and current trauma with therapy or counseling. Um, this is the one thing probably on this list that I most wish I had completed and known before I got with my wife. When we first met, I was in a weird place because I had just began the process of healing from the trauma of my relationship with my father. I was finished processing emotions from seeing certain deaths at an early age, and I wasn't even aware I had issues with my mom I needed to resolve. And I was also in the middle of like figuring out and dealing with trauma that I had from being locked up and my former street lifestyle that I was still kind of dabbling in here and there. So it was a mixed bag as far as where I was, as far as healing and being emotionally ready for a relationship. So I feel like if I had done this step and had this step kind of nailed down before meeting my wife or focused on it more when I first got with her, I feel like the next four things on this list would have been much easier. We probably would have gotten actually legally married sooner, and I probably would have avoided a lot of sticky situations and arguments that I put myself in the beginning of our relationship. Peace, last call. How you? How you? Peace, King. What's good with you, my man? Um, so yeah, this step is also crucial because it allows you to avoid petty grievances that come from like emotional overflows and outbursts that may come because you triggered unexpectedly by present behaviors that drudge up old trauma. So when I first got with my wife, like I said, I was in a mixed place as far as where I was in terms of healing. And because I had a lot of those issues still pending, I had a lot of trust issues. I had issues in dealing with communication. I was a very aggressive and angry person at that time, and not at my wife by any means, but just in general. So because of that, I had a certain demeanor and way of communicating that was like highly volatile, highly aggressive, quick to kind of snap and go straight to the most umpteenth degree as far as how angry I got. So like I feel like if I had dealt with that, I wouldn't have I would have been able to deal with communicating with my wife a lot better earlier because I feel like most of our arguments in the beginning came from either trust issues, which stemmed from my trauma that I hadn't healed, or it came from me and just my overall way of communicating being so aggressive and angry. It was hard for like little things that could have just been a quick conversation, 30-second conversation, and we out, it would turn into like a full-blown argument because I was so on edge and just always had all this pent-up anger. Um, so yeah, I definitely wish I had done this step before I got with her or just focused on it in those early stages because I feel like would have dodged a lot of bullets that I ran myself into. Um, It's also when you have already healed and you have a good toolkit of good coping mechanisms to use when trauma is brought up, it allows you to better communicate your emotional needs to your partner. It also allows you to better deal with stresses that will inevitably come up as you and your girlfriend or partner hit new stages in your relationship. So I feel like if I had already been healed and when I talk to relationships or talk to men that are in relationships and they had already done that when they got with their wives, I noticed that when the stresses of buying a new house or having a child or changing jobs or these like normal things that come as y'all just progressing as a relationship, like I feel like they are able to deal with that because they're not also still dealing with this other baggage that they're lugging around. Their minds and emotions are free and clear to actually focus on this new stress as opposed to dealing with everything else plus this being a new thing piled on. So um, definitely therapy and counseling is essential. Um, and this is again, this is for you before you get with the person you want to be with, or this is the early stages before you've got to the point where you're ready to commit fully, but you're thinking about, yeah, I might want to settle down with this person. Like this is something you got to deal with. Because if not, you're going to be triggered along the way. The girl is going to do something that reminds you of something that happened in your past that's going to send you over the edge or make something bigger than it needs to be. So you want to deal with that. And then lastly, this step, it allows you to be more open. When you go to counseling and therapy, you get used to communicating and they give you tips and like, what's good, face mobbing? Peace, King, my brother, what's good? Um, but yeah, like when you go to therapy and counseling, they give you a lot of good tools and things that you can do to like deal with stress when it comes up. So when you are triggered, as opposed to dealing with it in a negative way and going to a substance or becoming abusive or yelling and screaming and fussing or whatever your negative coping mechanism could be, you will have a toolkit full of stuff that you can actually use that allow you to get to a healthy resolution in those situations. And it also teaches you more about yourself. So you're able to better communicate to your partner, hey, these are the things that are my triggers, and you're able to communicate them in a way that resonates with your partner, and you're able to teach your partner how to love you best knowing these triggers. So because of my unhealed trauma, like I said, I was much more aggressive and much more detached emotionally, and I was also likely to get more jealous because I had trust issues when I first met my wife. So if you are a man thinking about getting married, make sure before you do any of these other steps that I'm outlining, start there. Just start there. Get help for whatever traumas you have faced, because if they are not healed, you're gonna take that baggage into this relationship, and it's gonna make everything else 100 times harder. So with that being said, that's number one. Number two, be very focused on your own goals, ambitions, and your overall self improvement. So, this means be focused on what you want your final career to be, or at least what field you want that to be in. Be focused on the things that drive you, your dreams, your visions for yourself, your 5 year, 10 year, 15 year plans. Um, Start to focus on the things about yourself that you want to improve. If you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, if you have addictions, if you know you need to eat better, if you know you need to drink more water, if you know, hey, I've been meaning to go to the dentist and get these teeth fixed, or hey, I've been meaning to, start fixing my wardrobe up and dressing for success, then do those things before you make that commitment to get married, or before you really buckle down and settle down. And the reason I say that is for the following little topics. For one, if you're living a certain lifestyle, whatever lifestyle you live, that's going to kind of determine the people you meet and have access to. So if you are living an unhealthy lifestyle, the people you're going to be meeting are going to be unhealthy. And if you're ultimately looking to get married to somebody, you got to think about if you want to be with somebody who is unhealthy as well. Because then who is the person that's going in a relationship that's going to help the other person to get better? So if you want to meet somebody who's physically fit, then you need to start making sure that you're getting your fitness together. If you want to meet somebody who is really ambitious and business driven, then you need to start focusing on your own business and getting your own entrepreneurial skills together, and going to take your business classes or real estate classes or whatever the case may be, so that you can start to, for one, develop that in yourself, but for two, it'll put you in place to meet those same like-minded type people. If you are, on the freakier side of things, and you into that swinging lifestyle, you may want to go ahead and start indulging in that, because that's going to allow you to meet other women that are in that same mindset as you. So that way you're not taking somebody that's not into that stuff into this lifestyle and kind of forcing it upon them. You got somebody that at least is aware of those things about you, and they are probably on that same wavelength. Um, Also, right, you can't be built like an Oompa Loompa and one of the Donnas. You can't be, strung out on meth and expect to get, somebody who is fully sober and living a productive lifestyle. Those two groups don't usually coexist. So you got to kind of focus on improving yourself, and as you do, you will find those people that are in that same like mind will be around you more. Also, if you're focusing on your surroundings and the daily behaviors that you're exhibiting, it's harder to really compare yourself to everybody else. When you're focusing on you and you're like, okay, this is my goal that I'm trying to reach, it's harder to get jealous of somebody who has a goal that ain't got shit to do with you. Like, it's harder to get jealous of this millionaire over here that make money because they breed horses, if you're completely focused on, well, I want to be a shoe designer, so this is what I'm pouring on my, like, when you get that tunnel vision about really focusing on you and improving you, it gives you blinders to stuff that can distract you from those goals and distract you from that woman that might be staring you in your face, but you can't see her because you're worried about what Joe and Larry and Thomas and these people doing across town that ain't got shit to do with you. Um, Also, if you're focusing on proving yourself financially, and in other ways you deem necessary to reach these goals, then the more people that are of a higher standard will be exposed to you. So when I got with my wife, we met because it was at a legit job establishment. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you, we met at the Waffle House. She was coming in to work and I was already cooking there. So, as a young man, I wasn't working before that. Before that, I was out in the streets, me, face to tell you, I was living a nomad lifestyle. I was into a bunch of shit I shouldn't have been into. And if I had still been doing that, I wouldn't have had a job to meet somebody that was even going to be able to kind of, show me a different way of living. I would have still been focused and meeting people who were in the lifestyle I was in. I would have met a bunch of women who were not working, who didn't have no dreams or aspirations, who didn't want to improve, who were just basically into the same street and nigga shit that I was into. You feel me? So yeah, my over medium eggs is actually what sealed the deal. She had never had somebody that cooked them exactly how she liked them. So yeah, and 15 years later, we still rocking. But yeah, like I noticed when I started to improve myself and I started to like go for a legit lifestyle and start to focus on improving my education and improving my way of living, I started to meet people that were above me, which allowed me to then have resources that were outside of the sphere of my own self. So I was able to then get better jobs because I was meeting people in a better place than where I was at. You feel me? So like as you upgrade, it's going to allow you to meet better people. And this also goes over into the type of women that you will meet. You'll start to meet women that are of a higher caliber, which opens your pool up and allows you to have more women to choose from as far as finding that person that's right for you, that's going to be the perfect match for you. You know what I mean? If you're only in the street, you only going to meet street women. But if you've already lived that lifestyle, but you also are now living a legit lifestyle, now you're going to meet legit women and you still got those street women to go back to if all else fails. But you have a wider sphere of people that are available to you that you are going to be able to meet, and you have a better chance of finding somebody that's going to be with you. Like Care had just said, exactly. Like-minded people will elevate each other. If we both got some dreams, then the fact that I don't want you to negate my dream, I'm going to push you to yours. Because I know if you're accomplishing yours, you're less likely to be worried about mine and distracting me from mine. We both gonna be growing at the same time as opposed to growing apart. So yeah, man, elevate yourself and start focusing on yourself. And then lastly, this step, it allows you to be in a place where as you are growing, because you've met somebody who's like-minded, as you're in a relationship, it's natural that you both are going to either stay in one spot or grow, or one person is going to grow and stay, and the other person stay in one spot. But you want to kind of be close to the same rate at which that stuff is happening. So if you meet somebody that's on the same page as you as far as being aspirational and they focus on their goals, as you reach certain milestones in that process, y'all can support each other through it. Y'all can grow together. Like she gonna understand when you said, man, trying to get back to school is crazy. Cause she might be on that same path. Or she might have just graduated. So she gonna understand what that struggle feels like. um, when you talking about, man, this life of an entrepreneur crazy, getting these taxes together, making sure I keep my books in order so I don't get audited, making sure I pay people on time so all my stuff is right. She gonna understand that struggle, and she gonna understand the hours you work. She gonna understand all that because she gonna be on that same page. So instead of you growing one way and she's going the opposite way and y'all having you know grievances over that, now as y'all are growing together as one, and y'all are both hitting certain milestones at similar times. So y'all are able to support each other and hold each other up through that. This is one thing that, even though my wife was a little further along in the aspirational process than I was at the time when we met, because I was in that process in my own self, it allowed me to be more open to it, and it allowed her to see certain things in me that allow her to be able to deal with maybe me not being where I wanted to be, but she saw my plan to get there. You feel me? Um, and I think that that's a huge thing that helped us to stay together through a lot of those rocky moments, because at the end of the day, we both were able to see we're not there yet, but I can see where she's going to be based on the plan she's laid out, and vice versa. So it allowed us to kind of see the best in each other in that. it allowed that potential to me be more than just a word. It's allowed us to see a plan behind that potential. Um, so yeah, you want to grow with your woman. So number two, like I said, that was be focused on your goals, ambitions, and your self-improvement, which will allow you to have a larger pool of women, a higher standard of women that you're meeting, and a woman that's going to be on the same page as you when you get together. So it makes those growing pains a little easier for you. Number three, this is one that I have probably struggled with the most, and the one that I probably still continue to struggle with the most is improving and modifying your communication strategies and patterns, and being willing to continue to do that over time. Um, if you look at studies they do on children, the statistics are out there. Women socialize and communicate, especially on an emotional level, a lot earlier and in a lot more of a highly effective way at earlier ages. Their verbal communication and emotional intelligence is usually a little bit higher than the average boy. And this is all generalizations. You know, each person is different. But if in general, the statistics show that usually women are a little bit ahead when it comes to that because of the way they socialize as children. Um, the way girl groups socialize is more based off the feelings and emotions of the group as opposed to men who are more based on competition and tangible things being in common. So because of that, women talk more and they talk more effectively a lot of time, which is why, fellas, if you've ever argued with a woman, you will know they're able to verbally come out with some crazy shit to say to you that will dig deep a lot quicker than sometimes than you. You feel me? Because they're used to emotionally being able to navigate, you know what I'm saying, and whatnot. Peace, be accountable. Peace, King. How you, brother? So because of that, we gotta, for one, improve the way we communicate with women. That doesn't mean you change how you can speak with your homeboys, your family, your friends. You know, the way me and Face can talk to each other is gonna be a lot more coarse, harsh, a lot more direct, straight to the point. It's gonna be less words said to get a point across, because that's how men are a lot of times socialize and talk. Two dudes could be in a room all day, two best friends could be in a room all day, not say much of shit to each other, but they understood everything. They done had like 13 conversations, and really, the outside looking in, you might have heard two grunts and a yeah, bro. You feel me? But it's just the way we communicate. So you got to understand that because we communicate different, we can't translate that over to our women. We got to go over to be open to the way they communicate and what's going to be most effective to get our point across to them in a way that they understand, and vice versa. So be open to changing communication strategies. If you do step number one first, which is why I started with that one, which is to go, heal that trauma with some professional help, get you a therapist, a counselor, a licensed professional in that field that understands trauma and can really give you the tools you need to cope. A lot of times you're going to have a easier time with this anyway. But if you start from square one, you feel me? I think, right. Like, they just be on a different level sometimes, and it's because of the way we socialize, you know what I mean? So it's important that we take these tips and tidbits and teach them to our sons at an early age too, so that they can kind of avoid some of the pitfalls that we are learning to avoid now, you know what I mean, in this generation. But with that communication, man, you got to be really open to it. And it's going to take a lot of changing, because you got to remember, it's like going from Japanese to English. There's going to be a barrier there at first. But the main thing that you have to have is the mentality where you want to improve it and you want to do the research. One thing that I learned from my wife, and I learned from the Black Lives Matter movement and all of these movements, is it's not incumbent upon the person that is being oppressed or being hurt by the communication to tell you how to fix it. It's incumbent upon you to learn it. So with that being said, there's a lot of good books that professionals can give you that you can read up on, and they can help you. But the easiest way to do is ask a woman how they like to be communicated to. And it don't have to be the woman that you with. It could be your mother, it could be your aunt, it could be your sister, and then apply that shit. A lot of times we hear them saying what they want, but because it's too hard, or because it's annoying, or because it's an extra step for us, and we're used to communicating a certain way, we want them to go to what we want. But at the end of the day, it's gonna take some compromise in that. And I can't really tell women what to do on that end because I'm not a woman, so I can't give them advice on how to be a woman. But for us brothers, I can tell you one thing that I struggle with is when I don't socialize, when I go slip back into them normal socialization patterns of the way I talk to my brothers, that shit don't work. I end up in dumb arguments and don't realize how I got there. You end up in the doghouse. You end up, with your woman mad at you. And it really, if you had to just worded it a different way or said it with a different tone, it goes a whole lot further. And now she's actually on the same page as you. But because you didn't, them to be the ones. So be accountable. Say, well, you have to learn the difference in socializing. Exactly. Women are emotional creatures. Men have to understand it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Most miscommunications in life come from a misunderstanding because of the way something is given to them. You got to say it in a way that's going to be relatable and translatable by the person that's receiving the information. That's basic communication 101. If I'm talking to somebody who only speaks Spanish, what the hell do I look like speaking to them in English? They're not going to get it. We're going to just sit there, be at a standstill, and be looking at each other. It's not going to go well. It's going to be no bueno. No bueno. So at the end of the day, we got to start learning their language so that we can be on the same page and be able to speak to them in a way that our message gets across to them, and then they can actually apply it and be there to support us. Because at the end of the day, the goal is just to be there for each other. And I think both men and women want that. It's just we run into them roadblocks because we speak in different languages. We just got to have a same language. One of the best things I've learned is learn your woman's love language. If you've never heard of it, look it up. You can Google this shit. They got a book on it. They got DVDs on it. Like, it's love languages. This is one of the most basic jumping off points I give to anybody. And I didn't get it until I was probably in the year leading into us being married, the year we were engaged. That was when I finally got it. If I had got this on the front end, oh man, we would have probably been married within the first 2-3 years. We would have been way less arguments, and we would have probably been further ahead when we got married if I had actually been on that same page. So learn them love languages. Learn them, learn them, learn them, learn them. Right. Right. No backhanded compliments, no mansplaining, none of that shit. Like, give it to them in a way that they can receive it. Exactly right, Can't have. That's exactly right. Yes. Be accountable. He up on game. He up on game. A must have for everyone. If you are in a relationship with anybody, man, women, this will help you. Love languages. It would literally reframe and give y'all a framework to jump off with and give y'all some shared languages and some shared translations so that when y'all talking, that communication can be open. What's good, Face Mobby?
Ain't nothing, I had to pop in, man. Now, my perspective on this is a little bit the same as yours. Well, mostly the same as yours, but different perspective because of the age range. You feel me? Like, me and my wife are apart by 7 or 8 years, 7 years, man. Yeah.
Right.
7 years to the day, matter of fact. So, along with communication, when you're on two different age, like the age gap, you have to also understand in each individual that it is a learning curve when it comes to maturity and age, because women mature at a different rate than men, regardless of how old you are. We could be 50 to 60. The woman is still doing something different than the man until they both on the same page with the communication. So in my personal example, sure, my wife is the younger one. I'm 38. My wife just turned 31. So we have some issues when it comes to communication, but it's only at that first head. When we sit down, we realize, oh, we actually saying the same thing. We just communicated two different ways and saying the exact same. That's what it is, because in her generation, in her age group, they may say something, or she may say something communicated a different way. Right. Me, as you see, I'm straight to the point. Regardless of who I talk to, I like to get my point there. So it's no ifs, ands, buts, and maybes. You ain't got to think I'm thinking this or thinking that. But in that, it's still the delivery of the way that may still give a different message off. So even when you're trying to be direct, how you be direct is the message that really comes off. Because as you said, women and men, we do communicate differently. Some say logical to emotional. But even then, I can't make it stereotypical, because I know some women that is totally logical and they don't base nothing on. I know some men who do everything based on how they feel. So to each his own. But you gotta find that line where y'all can meet. You feel me? And have that likeness. You gotta be on the same page in communication, because anytime You think you saying one thing, but she thinking another. Y'all not on the same page. It got to be to the point where you're saying this, she knows. Okay, you mean this, even because she knows you, and like, and vice versa. My wife
Right,
can come in the house and say, "I had a good day," but I can look at her and tell, "Okay, no, you didn't have a good day. I know how you said that, so I know how to react off of that." You feel me?
right, right,
And
right,
vice
right,
versa. I can come in and be like, "You know what? I'm pissed off, but I'm still smiling." So she know, oh, it ain't towards me. It ain't towards nothing here. That's some work stuff. So let me just say this. So you got to make sure you guys know each other and are willing to grow with each other. Now,
yep,
it's nothing wrong with growing at different paces at time because everybody's not going to be on the same page at all times. But the willingness to communicate and be patient with each other, that's something we didn't speak on. Being patient is a big
mm-hmm,
thing. If you're
mm-hmm,
willing to be there and you're willing to jump that broom with somebody, be patient
yeah,
because we're not all from the same backgrounds. We don't have the same chemical makeup. We don't have all the same genes. So that means in our essence we're different. So how we process information is different. How we communicate is
right,
different. But the
right,
one thing we can't control is us being patient and how we communicate. We were all brought up to communicate a certain way, but as adults, we can change that.
right,
So
right,
if you're willing to communicate and willing to be patient, willing to be changed with each other, it could be successful. But each person has to be willing to do all those things. It never works with one half of the party doing one thing, another half doing something else. It got to
right.
be a joint. It got to be joint together.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Like, you got to be patient. Patience is a huge part of communication that people leave out. It comes even to the way you communicate as far as listening. Um, there's a way that you can hear somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean you listening to them. You just hear them making a noise and words coming out of their mouth. But to listen is to listen for understanding and not to respond. And I've learned that, and I'm still working on that to this day. That is probably the one thing that I struggle with the most because I process fast. So a lot of times I can process where somebody's going with something and kind of already be ahead. So I got to really work on that because for my wife, what I'm finding out a lot of times in communication, it's not about necessarily being right or wrong. It's about actually both people leaving feeling like they were listened to. Like my wife, a lot of times her thing ain't, well, I don't really care about being right. I just want you to hear how I feel or my thought on this or what I have to say and hear it. Not for you to rebut it or to argue with it or to have a response to it, but literally just to hear it so I can get it out and feel like someone heard me. I'm heard. So like I think absolutely, absolutely, never to be confused with surrender. But I think that patience comes in where you're like patient enough to listen to the full thought without responding, without jumping in with your opinion or with your fix. Or sometimes if a woman is coming to you with a problem, being patient enough to let her get the problem out and not necessarily look to fix it. Let her ask for that support sometimes instead of, as men, we're providers, we're protectors. We want to comfort our woman at all costs. So it makes us kind of jump in and be like, all right, well, who I gotta hurt, what I gotta fix, what I gotta pay, where I gotta go, what you need me to do, what I gotta go. And sometimes for the woman, what I'm learning, and like I said, these could coming from me fucking it up. I have not always gotten this right. And to this day, it's a constant process of improving. But listen, be patient enough to hear that full thought and not try to always be ready to jump in and do something. Sometimes it's just listening to them and letting them feel heard, and that's it. Um, Let them vent, kind of getting that in. Right on, Pat. What's up, Pat? Go ahead. Watch from the clouds like a ninja champ. Keep that job, boy. Um, but yeah, so yeah, that's number three. So we got number one, heal your past and current trauma first with therapy or counseling. It doesn't mean you're crazy, doesn't mean you got to have a shrink, just means that you got somebody that's going to listen to you, help you to process through those emotions and feelings about the trauma. And the most important part about getting professional help with it is that they give you the actual tools and positive coping mechanisms for you to deal with it going forward. So it's not just that one time thing of you getting it out. It's now I also got something I can go back to and lean on my day to day to help me get through it. Number two is to be focused on your goals, ambitions, and your self improvement overall. Doing that, that's going to be super key. If you're doing that, you're going to be improving your standards which allows you to improve the people you bring around you, which also improves the pool of women that are around you and allows you to find a woman that's going to be on the same wavelength as you and going to be on the same kind of life step as you processing through it as y'all are moving towards that step of settling down for marriage. Number three was be willing to improve and continue to improve and modify your communication strategies to work with a woman's way of communicating, kind of getting yourself out of the normal socialized way that men are trained to communicate and kind of learning their language as well, so y'all can have seamless communication and be able to get through the stresses that's going to come. Number four, now this is especially essential if you are trying to get married. Marriage is a lifelong relationship commitment, but it's also a business. When you get married, your finances are going to be completely tied together and affecting each other for that foreseeable future. So have the money talk on the front end as soon as y'all are dating and get to the point where y'all say, we're going to be boyfriend and girlfriend, which means you are looking at this person as somebody that could be potentially a long-term mate for you. Have the money talk. Have it. It is vital because you want to be able to understand and convey each other's debt, your finance management habits, your spending habits, your goals financially, and any other financial aspects or things that could come up in the future that will cause y'all to have arguments. One of the number one reasons for divorces is finance, which means one of the number one reasons for breakups is finance. So if you can get down on the front end and say, look, this is my college loan debt, this is my credit card debt, this is where I stand as far as car note, rental history, this is where I stand with my how I spend money month to month. Like if y'all can get on the same page with that when y'all are just dating and you have an out clause, and at that moment your finances are not bringing down each other's credit scores or depleting each other's bank accounts, it will help you. So once you do get married, you're already used to merging those finances and working together as a couple. So once you get married and those things are actually affecting each other, now y'all are already used to tackling things together. Y'all are already used to what it looks like to tackle debt together. Y'all are already used to what it looks like to plan a family budget together. So it's not a shock, and it's not something that as your finances change becomes scary to you. It's a habit that you've already built up. So all you have to do is tweak it as new finances come in and as new revenue streams come in and as new expenditures come in. So have that talk on the front end. It also allows you to like start that planning process of what your marriage will look like financially ahead of time. It allows you to have those conversations of, hey, this is how much it costs to have one child, two child, three children, four children in this state, in this area. This is how much money we make. This is kind of the trajectory of where our money should be or where we think it may be on the low end by the time we get to the point we're ready to have children. This is what can happen if we have children right now, because you know condoms burst, contraception ain't 100%, and shit happens. So sometimes you know the pull-out game be weak or it just be good. So if you do have a child right now, what does that look like financially? You want to have that nailed down before you put rings on, before you merge your stuff legally, because if not, you're going to find yourself arguing about those things when you find your FICO score dropping because the wife got a crazy spending habit on shoes, or she going to be pissed at you when all of a sudden she find her credit score dropping because you got a bunch of college loan debt that you hadn't divulged yet. Like you got to be on the same page. This is probably the one step that I actually had nailed down out of all five. This is probably the only one that we actually did and had mastered early in our relationship. One of the main reasons that my wife got with me is because I was willing to be the financial provider and I was willing to have those conversations early. So she could see that was like I was future oriented and was like looking toward that. So definitely saves you time. An easy way to merge finances and to kind of get practice with this. I don't suggest this for everybody. It's not for everyone. But I do feel like the fact that me and my wife were together for 8 years and living together, basically living as a married couple before we actually got married legally, I feel like that really helped us. For one, you get the added benefit of you learn each other's like life patterns and like day-to-day quirks that may be an issue or a pet peeve. So you can kind of compromise on those things early, but also it allows you to see how that works. It gets you into that rhythm of paying bills together, of who it lets you establish those roles. You know it. Capricorns, this is how we think. We gotta have some planning, man. We got to. Um, but yeah, it allows you to kind of live that out day to day and kind of start to establish those financial roles in your relationship where you're better with handling the day to day finance and paying the bills month to month. So you handle that. I may be better with investment strategy. So I may be the one that handles our portfolio. You may be the one that's better at making the expenditure. So I may run my spending, my big spending over a certain amount with you before I do it, because you may be the one that sees those little things. Okay, well, this gonna set us back with this, and this if you do this. So like establishing those roles early before y'all are legally merged is essential. So please, 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 you know that we bought the coin, man. We want our bread, we want it all, and we want it to be in order and in line so it can keep coming.
There
You're
you go.
absolutely right. That's how we
I
roll.
should have my money
You
right
know
at all
that.
times.
You know that. So like this is one that I definitely don't tell everybody to shack up, but I will say that if you are open to it and it's something that's on the table for you and your partner, and y'all are thinking about getting married one day, it may work for you. It's a great way to kind of work out some of those financial kinks and really start to build those habits and those roles up before your credit and their credit are affected by each other, and before your finances and their finances are legally merged. So have that money talk. Have that money talk. Have that money talk. It's better to have it when it's less pressure and you have an out clause, as opposed to when now you're legally binding and it's going to cost you money to separate. So have it up front. Um, Number 5, and the last tip I have, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Face and anybody else in the chat who has more that can edify or refine this list, or if you see some a hole or poke in one of mine, that can teach me and grow me. We're gonna have that kind of like the open forum time. But number 5 and the last tip is to make small commitments along the way before you're going into marriage, which is the biggest commitment. Now, what I mean by that is make small commitments and then follow through on them along the way. An example of this could be as small as something as making a chore schedule if you're living together, and then holding
Yeah,
to
can I
that
get a number
so that
6
she
for
can
me?
see, for one,
Number 8.
that you are able to commit to something and follow through. Follow through is huge with women. One of the easiest way you can lose a good woman, even if you're a good man, is by not following through on your word or not holding through on something you say.
Root beer
Um,
with night
so
ice.
if you can do that,
That'll be
make
all.
sure you make small commitments along the way. It could be,
Thank you.
if you're living separately, you start planning and setting dates for y'all to do things, and then follow through on those things at a high rate without flaking. Um, it could be setting up what boundaries as far as what respectful communication, what the opposite set looks like for you two, and then you following through on those things so she can see, okay, if he say he not gonna do this with a woman, he can hold to it. So now I can trust him. You know what I mean? It builds up that trust. It builds up your own commitment habits and your comfort with commitment, especially if you're somebody who kind of has commitment anxiety. Um, it can kind of be a way to kind of slowly ramp your way up to larger and larger commitments, to finally living together or sharing something financially, to finally actually making that huge commitment of marriage. But it does show a woman loyalty, it reinforces your bond, and it builds up your own commitment habits. So definitely make small commitments along the way as you're dating, so that you can build up the trust and that follow through with your woman, so that when you do get married, it's easier to kind of tackle new things that come up because you already have that trust. That helps your communication. It helps your everything with a woman. When she trusts you, she will ride with you, as opposed to riding against you most times. If she can trust you, that's when we talk about that word submission that a lot of people be scared of. Submission don't necessarily mean that a woman is just giving up all her rights. It just means that she's willing to roll with you and support you in the things and initiatives that you submit to the relationship, because she sees and understands your plan and she trusts in it. She feels like she can trust you. She feels secure in that you're gonna follow through on what you say. So if you say, "Hey, baby, it's gonna be all right," she ain't gonna argue with you. Well, how it's gonna be all right? Where we gonna get the money? What we gonna do? She gonna be like, "Nah, okay, it's gonna be all right. Word, I can trust that my man got it because I know that on these other occasions along the way, he's committed to him and he followed through on it. He did what he said." So those are my 5 tips for men if you want to get married. Now, if you don't want to get married, or if you already got shit together and your relationship is going amazingly, don't stop doing what you're doing to do none of this shit. Do what you're doing. This is for people who were like me when I was 15 years ago and I was getting into the relationship with my woman and I was dating her and I was fucking up a lot, to put it plainly. I was horribly fucking up a lot. And there were times when I could have lost a good woman because I didn't have these 5 things and other things. I wasn't working on them, or I just didn't have them mastered. So I was struggling, man. I was really struggling. So yeah, these are just 5 things to help those type of dudes. If you know somebody like this, share this with them. If you have more things that I left out that will help somebody before they get into it, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment. Feel free to, use the link that's at the top of the chat to join the panel, and you can have your voice heard as well. But yeah, man, this is something that's been strong on my heart, and I see a lot of good relationships around me. I've learned from some good relationships and brothers that were cool enough with me and saw enough in me that they were willing to impart what they knew that helped me. So the goal is to just, each one teach one. And, if I got knowledge, I ain't gonna hide it. It's for everybody. So Face, did you have anything you wanted to add to
Of
the list, or
course.
any comments based on
Of
this, just that can
course,
help a
brother.
brother when they get into it?
Of course. My number one thing is, before you get ready or you want to step into a relationship, long term marriage, whatever, you have to be willing to not be a hypocrite. Stop all the hypocritical shit. Because too many times when we get in relationships or getting ready for marriage, we having our ideas what we want our partners to do, but we're not willing to do the same thing. You can't expect somebody else to be willing to do something if you can't do it, or vice versa. You can't be willing to say, "Well, I ain't gonna do this, but you can do this," or I'm cool with me doing this, but I don't think you should be doing it. It
Double
has to be
standards.
even. It has to be
Yeah.
an even keel on all things. Like
Yeah.
a relationship, it got to be that way. No hypocritical stuff involved, because when it does, it just turns into resentment on both ends.
Right.
Me personally, I went through it where I was the opposite end. I wasn't a hypocrite. I was the opposite end in my own personal relationship with my wife. Just quick story. I had a certain job, but the job wasn't feasible for my family life. You feel me? And I was focused on finances instead of being focused on the larger picture. So at that point in time, I was like, well, okay, I'll do this for us and I'll do this. But a couple months down the road, the same situation flipped, but just on my wife's end, where she had a job and it was working good for finances. But as far as what I'm seeing, it wasn't going for the family life. But when I took a look behind it and I had to take a step back, I was like, yeah, you being a hypocrite. But at the end of the day, I had to look at my strengths and what I know I could better do in certain situations where my wife could not do. So I'm not saying my wife can't do something. I'm just saying in certain instances, I may have been better fit to that. So my first instance is like, oh, you being a hypocrite. But with patience, once again, I mentioned that patience, I was able to take a back step and see the bigger picture. So with this non-hypocrite stuff, also, don't be afraid to take a step back and look at the picture in a different light. Too many times when we so close up on the picture, we're focused on, oh, this is the issue, this is the issue, this is the issue. 9 times out of 10, what you think of the issue may not be the issue. Take a step back, look at the whole scale.
Right.
That's a big skill you have to take in going to marriage, because individuals, and we looking at a single life, we can get caught, oh, this is the issue right here, I don't want to mess with it no more. Well, when you're in marriage, it's a total different thing. That's a lifelong commitment. You feel me? Like, you're signing papers. Y'all got papers on each other. This ain't no women gonna say, I'm not gonna do with you no more. We can be part of. No, we got papers on each other. Let's take it back to the city. Like, she got papers. She got papers on me. You feel me? So I gotta see everything in a different light. I gotta be more patient. I can't be getting so mad when I get in an argument. You know what? I'm leaving. Where the hell you going? You coming right back? We married.
Right.
Your name on all this stuff just like mine.
We here together.
You feel me? We in this. So if you want to get married, realize it ain't no arguing just running out. That's a
Right.
long time. But also in marriage and before you get married, realize, are you willing to be able to only want to make one person happy? Because
Right.
that's the
Yeah.
solace.
Self
That's
awareness.
the
Self
solace.
awareness. Be
That's my
honest with
solace right
yourself.
there. Every day I wake up and leave the house, I'm comfortable. And I can always know, you know what? I don't
Hmm.
have to give a fuck about what nobody else think but my wife. I
Right.
don't have to make nobody else happy but this one person. And how much that took off my shoulders from being a single man to a married man when you got to run around trying to impress this person, impress this person. I don't have to impress nobody. But the
Right.
one person I lay down with every night that shares my last name. That
Hell
one
yeah,
person.
bro.
You feel me?
Hell the
And
fuck yeah.
before I got married, I had to take a look at myself like, am I willing to just do that? I mean, it seems like an easy thing. Oh yeah, I got one person to make happy. But yeah, you really got to look at it as a man because you're settling down.
Right.
When
Right.
I'm trying to impress everybody and go out, yeah, I'm gonna have to do this, I'm gonna have to do this, I'm gonna do this. You know how much money I save from not trying to impress nobody?
Amen.
You
Bruh.
know,
Bruh.
y'all see me when I show my pictures on here. I go months at a time without cutting my hair because I don't go
Bruh.
outside trying to impress nobody. My wife like how I look.
Right.
That's
If
all
the
that matters
wife
to me.
love it, then I'm gravy. I'm
I cut my
gravy.
beard. I cut my beard last month. My wife cussed me out. Why you cut my beard? I like it. I was like, well, I ain't like how she was like, well, look, baby, I like it. I was like, well, shit, it's growing back then, boo.
Bruh.
I only got one person to make
Bruh.
happy.
Bruh.
One
I'm trying
person.
to tell you.
Before you get married,
Be
please,
sure you
men,
good with that.
no, life will change. But that ain't meaning it's a bad thing. Be ready for positive changes, making you a better person. You're gonna resist these changes. Believe me, because every married man, we go into a resistance because we're known to be ourselves as what we are before we get married.
Right.
But everything in life that's hard and worth doing, will be difficult.
Oh, can I speak to that?
It's easy to fall in love.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. But stay in there. That's the difficult part. Stay in there. That's the difficult part. Everybody in the world can tell you how to fall in love and all these songs about falling in love, but it's not one song about telling you how to stay in love.
Right.
Stay in love and doing the work. I'm willing to do work.
Do the work.
Anybody that knows me personally tell you I've been working hard since I was 14, just working for a job. So when it comes to marriage, working hard ain't nothing but a second thought to me. I'm willing to do it.
Right.
But I know in myself that I'm willing to do it.
Right.
And if you don't know that in yourself, don't take that plunge into getting married. Because all you doing is setting up that lady and yourself for failure.
Let me piggyback off you, bro, real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is for people who want to get married, but if you want to be in a long-term relationship, that self-awareness phase talking about of just like knowing where you are. If you are a person that knows that, hey, I want to be with more than one woman, I am not the person that can commit to just one woman. Tell the women that you deal with. Be honest with them. You will be surprised at how far respect goes. I think who was it? Like Ken High said, it's all about respect. If you honest with the woman, a lot of women out here may be interested in that lifestyle. There are growing communities of women who are looking to be in a relationship where they are a part of a group of wives. So that's not something that you might like. You got to be honest with that. And if you are, you're going to be more willing to find that woman that matches with you. And you're also going to avoid the hurt of dealing with somebody who may not be right for you, where you're hurting them or they hurt you because they're not the type of woman that matches where you're trying to be with. Just stay single, keep dating, and you're going to find somebody, if you're honest with the woman, that's going to be down. But you're not holding some other woman and stringing them along knowing that it ain't in you. You feel what I'm saying? You're also not merging your life with somebody who can then, when you get divorced, depending on the state, you could be that person could be financially, a financial obligation for you going forward, all because you knew that you didn't want this, but you tried to do it to fit some societal standard or to make her happy or to whatever. Like, be honest with yourself. Trust me, you can find a woman that will fit you a lot easier by just being honest with you first and then with them. Go ahead, Face.
Now, not to bring up partner business, but Pat done said it on many episodes. Pat's single. You feel me?
Yeah, Pat. Yeah, that's all right.
All three of us. Out of all three of us, Pat's married. And this goes to another. Pat's not married. He's single out of all three of us.
Last call.
Yep. Now, I say that to say this one thing. Men, don't feel pressured to have to get married because of your surroundings either.
Nope.
You feel me? All the time we had these conversations with Pat about our married lives, and at the end of the day, we still tell him, do your thing.
Right.
You feel me? Don't hear us talking about ours pros or cons and let that sway you. Still have that
Big
own
fact.
mindset in yourself to be self-aware. Once again, my biggest concept, being self-aware to know what is good for you and best for you going forward. You feel me? Now,
Exactly.
if you're at that point in life and when you don't know what's good for you, then it's time to hone down on yourself then. And you don't need to be nobody. You need to be by yourself to figure yourself out. Because if you
Right.
don't know yourself in the true essence, you can't give yourself to nobody else wholeheartedly. Because all you're doing is giving them another confused person to try to figure out. And 9 times out of 10, everybody is confused too. So if you know
Yep.
you ain't got it all together and you know you still confused, don't be willing to jump into a committed relationship trying to figure yourself out then, because that person trying to figure themselves out. So y'all got two confused people that don't know nothing trying to go somewhere, and y'all don't even know how to aim to the direction.
Yeah.
Spend time with yourself first. Be happy as being in yourself, knowing that if I go forth with somebody else, I can still be as truly happy with them as I am with myself.
Preach that good word, brother. Preach that good word, brother.
Wow.
That's a big fact there. Any other tips before I go? I'm trying to think because I feel like I know my next one is gonna be on like once you're getting engaged. Peace, Queen, the queen of the pod, honey bee. Peace, 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 and blessings.
What's in
Always
there?
good to have the queen in the house. What's good? Hope you are resting today as well and hydrating. Um, but yeah, I feel like I want to make sure I give all the jewels I got that help me while I got people here. So another thing, and this is gonna be the hard part, and this goes back to self-awareness. Be willing to love your woman and decide what are going to be your deal breakers and the things that you can love her and deal with, even if she never changes them. Establish those on the front end. Um, a lot of people already, amen. That's why I started with it. Yes, it's no room. Therapy is going to help y'all with a lot of these things anyway. But
And I got
I
one to
know some
piggyback
people may not be
off of
gotten
real
that
quick.
far yet. So if you haven't, I'm gonna tell you, establish your deal breakers up front, but also in your own mind, establish what's good or the things about your woman that if she never changed them, I could still deal with it. Like my wife has certain quirks and things that are just her. There, she gonna be like that to the day she died. That's just who she is. And I had to decide what of those things were the things that, like, okay, is this a behavior that she could change? That that if she keeps doing it, we just can't be together. I had to establish those things and let her know on the front end. Now it took me some time to get to know I had to do that. I fucked this up a lot. This was one of those things that got me in the doghouse and arguments and me leaving or her leaving several times. But once I established, okay, these are the things that look, if you do them, I can't be with you, and allow her to share hers. And then I also said, all right, these are things I want you to work on. And she was able to tell me which of those things she was and which of those things she wasn't. And it gave me the opportunity to look at them and be like, all right, can I live with these things she can't deal, that she ain't gonna be able to change? Is if she never changed, and would I still love her the same? Would I still want to be with her every day? And it allowed me to know that she was the one beyond a shadow of a doubt. But when you do that, it also allows you to know if the woman you with is the one you want to be with. Because if she got shit about her that she ain't gonna change, but that you know I can't deal with this shit, then don't put no ring on that thing. Y'all go ahead, break it apart. Why still ain't no legal binding nothing that keep y'all together, and y'all go on y'all separate and live life.
And let me piggyback off that real quick.
Right on it.
And with that being said, what you just said,
Hold
you
up,
also
pause.
gotta be,
Oh, pause. That sounded crazy. My bad. Pause. What the fuck? Beg my pardon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
nigga, you alright. I know your sexual preference.
That sounded crazy.
But like I was saying, you have to be willing to love her or him as they want to be loved as well.
Yeah.
So if you can't see yourself doing that and the way they want to be loved, know from then right there in yourself, well, I ain't willing to do that. I can't love you the way you want to be loved. You snore, I can't deal with snoring. Say it. Don't be
Right.
miserable 20 years down the line and not getting no sleep, and then 20 on the 21st year, you blowing up.
Exactly.
I've been taking this snoring 20 years. I can't take say that on the first day. Say that day one. You sleep at the house. Damn, you snore? Oh, I ain't know you snore, yo. Can we do anything about this? Are you
Fuck
coming with
around,
this
y'all
snoring?
standing over each other with pillows in the middle of the
You
night.
feel
Like,
me?
I just might.
She may not know she snore. She may not know she snore. Nobody else may have told her. You may be the first person comfortable enough to tell her, baby, you snore like a bear.
Right,
Can
right.
we do something about this? They got plenty
Ooh,
of things we can do about this.
but you want them
You know,
breathe right
she may
trip.
have a problem with you. She may have a problem with you doing something, and you not
Leaving the
know
cap
you even
off the
do it.
toothpaste.
You feel me? Be able to
But
love somebody the way they want to be loved. You feel
yeah,
me?
yeah,
It's a difference. It's a difference with each person because I may want to be loved different than Tiz may want to be loved. I may want a person to console me when I'm upset, or I may be the person who don't want people to bother me when I'm mad. Leave me alone when I'm pissed off. Let me be me in the moment. Let me be
right.
mad. I'll be out in 2 minutes, but just let me be there.
Separate
My
ways.
wife knows that now.
We
We've
need to
gone through the
explore that.
years of she see me upset and she wants to take on my anger and help me be all right. But
Right.
I'm the person like, if I'm mad, just let me be mad. I'll be all right. I gotta work through my emotions. I'm not gonna instantly, I'm mad now. I'm not mad. No, I got to work through my anger and see, okay, this is what making me mad. Why was I mad? My wife understands that now. So excuse me. So she's willing to love me and that way, the way I need to be loved, and not try to force me to do something else. It goes against what is good for myself. You feel me? Like we have to be willing to love each other the way we want to be loved, and that comes once again through patience and communication. It's always gonna boil down to the same three things. I'm gonna say self-awareness, patience, and communication. Everything I say is always gonna boil down to the same three because those are three cornerstones of successful relationships.
Indeed, indeed, 100%. And in talking about your likes and dislikes, again, that's why I say, man, I can't tell everybody to shack up, but if that's something you open to in your life, it, I truly believe if me and my wife didn't live together for so long before we actually got married legally, I don't believe our marriage would be as strong as it is today. Like I feel like the past 7 years that we've been married has been way better than the first 8 years we were together. And it's because we were together for them 8 years and we were able to be together every day and work out a lot of the kinks that a lot of couples are working on that first few years that they're married together, which kind of means that you're not able to really enjoy just being newlyweds, or if you're having a new child pop up in that time, you're not really able to just enjoy those times because you're still dealing with shit that could have been done when you were dating. So get that shit out you on the front end, man. And then one of my last things, at least, take the time as a man to accept criticism and feedback.
Wow.
None of these steps or tips that we've given or that people in the chat to drop, none of these will work. None of them. If you as a man are not willing to accept the flaws, weaknesses, areas of growth that you have, we not perfect. I don't care if you whatever you want to call yourself, these what they be calling them alpha males or what. I don't give a fuck what you want to call yourself as a man. You got flaws. You got some shit about you that stink. So if you're not willing to hear that, and then when you hear that, not take it as a dig or, oh man, she crazy. Oh, man, forget her. She don't know what she talking about. No, everybody ain't supposed to love you through your bullshit. Sometimes you need to just clean your bullshit up so you can be loved. Sometimes you
It
gotta
ain't
clear
nobody
that
fault your
bullshit
mama
out
ain't tell you
to
about
make
your
room
shit.
for somebody to love you. Like if your
It ain't
closet is
nobody
full of
fault your mama
bullshit,
ain't tell you about
you
that
can't
shit
put
when
no
you
new
growing up.
clothes in there. You can't bring no new shoes or no new shit into your house, and your house full of bullshit and clutter that from all the years. Like you got to clear that shit out. So like, get over yourself enough to be able to hear a woman when she say, "Hey, you controlling." Sometimes it ain't that she just think that she just want to do what she want to do. Sometimes it may be the way you act and it's fucking controlling. Sometimes it may be, hey, you mess it. That don't mean she need to get used to your cleaning system. That might mean that you fucking mess it. Hey, you when you speak like this, it's scary. You got an aggressive tone. That don't mean that she need to change how or she too sensitive. That might mean that your fucking tone is aggressive. Like check yourself. And if you can do that, a lot of times we want a woman to check themselves, but stuff is reciprocal in life. And a lot of times it takes I heard God bless him, Dr. Phil. But I heard him say something. I done lived with this, and it's helped me a lot in every relationship, whether it be friendship, family relationships, or with my wife. Just somebody in every situation gotta be the superhero. When you got two people that's at a crossroads, somebody got to be the superhero that step up and look at what they can fix about themselves and take that step, because a lot of times it'll show good faith for one, so it make the other person that might be dug in and got their heels dug in, they might be like, okay, well, this person is working, I can see that work, and it may take a minute, but for one, it improves you, it make you a better person, and then it also allows them to be more willing to change the shit about themselves that stink, because they see you putting in work too. You feel me? Like, if somebody see you already shoveling, it's a lot easier to convince them to go ahead and pick up a shovel and help you. But if you sitting back with a glass of hot cocoa, sitting back in the chair with a heater, and you talking about, yeah, we need to shovel that snow, y'all. People gonna be
Yeah,
looking
we
at you
sure
like,
do.
what the fuck you mean? Well, whenever we get to doing it, I guess that's when I'll pick up my shovel. So you
That's
gotta
when we
be
gonna
willing
do
to
it.
put the work in that you asking for. You
Don't
gotta
speak
be
of French.
willing to fix your shit. And we got shit to fix. And another big key is don't get complacent. Sometimes we get to a point where we like, hey, I'm good. I done fixed this and this, so I'm good now. No, it's gonna be some new shit as you evolve, because as you and a woman grow, y'all are going to change. Your interests will change. The things that you like will change. Your sensibilities will change. You may go from being super conservative to more liberal. You may go from being super liberal to more conservative. You may experience something that changes your religious or your spiritual outlook. You may um, read something or learn something that changes your social outlook and changes the way you want to move. So you got to be willing to constantly be looking at your shit and changing it and improving it and upgrading it and modifying it. It's literally right. If you happen to get the job, it's a 90-day probation period. And then you still every 90 days got a new probation period, because literally since I've been with my wife for 15 years, both of us have been at least about 4 different people apiece. From the first 2 people that met each other, to the people that were together after about 3 years, to the people that was together after about 7 years, to the people that was together the first year and a half of our marriage, to the people that we are today. We are not the exact same people. We've grown, we've changed, we've evolved, we've gotten rid of some things, we've added some things. So like you got to be willing to constantly come back to that table, reevaluate the situation, and make the necessary plugins. It's like when you get an iPhone or when you get a computer, every so often you got to do an update to your virus protection. You got to do an update to your operating system to make sure that it's running to this most efficient thing and it is able to intake all of the new data that's coming.
Get your interface
Relationship, the
right.
same shit. Yeah, get your interface right. Relationship is the same way. Like it's something that is a constant job. Like Faith, I like the way Face put it. It's like I'm willing to work 2 full-time jobs, my job and my job as a husband. Like it is 2 full-time jobs. And if you have kids, you can add in that's a 3rd full-time job. And you got to know that you're willing to put in that work
And
every
if you're
day.
bleeding dogs, is another job too.
Indeed, indeed. What Honeybee
But
said, a true
I'm gonna say this
partnership.
one thing before I get off.
Go
I'm
ahead,
about to go
Face.
back in. So I didn't get a chance to say it when we did it live because, of course, y'all know I got the bootleg internet connection in the country. Um, my wife's birthday was this past Sunday. Well, yesterday. I just want to take a time out to say, Mrs. Face, I love you. Happy birthday to you. And just as we said on this conversation, a strong woman will make a better man, and a better man will make a strong woman. And I believe in our connection. We have had done that for each other. And like I said on our wedding day, I believe you made me a better man and continue to do so. So if you're on here live or if you're gonna listen to it later, I love you and happy birthday. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you later, bro.
Hey, love you, bro. Happy birthday, little sis. That made my heart smile, big bro. I love it. I love it. But yeah, yeah, man. Like we not perfect, but you know we gotta handle business, right? Oh, but like Honeybee said as well, true partnership is not the goo goo gaga shit. That's the love. That's the feeling. Where the real relationship is in that daily work. And these are just some tips from ourselves, from the chat. And again, these are not coming from somebody who got it figured out or some expert in this. This is coming from somebody who is fucked up at these things and has messed them up and who struggled with them and who still struggles with them. But because I'm working on them and because I have gotten some of them down, I'm able to say that I'm in a happy, successful relationship 15 years after the day I met my queen. And this is just hopefully some tips to help the next young man that is in the same place that I was in, that wanted to do it but just was fumbling through it. Hopefully this can help you avoid the pitfalls that I went through. And yeah, man, that's our time for today, man. Unless anybody has some, I love y'all. Thank y'all as always for coming through and joining the conversation with us, because that's truly why we're here. We're recording the podcast tomorrow night, so be on the lookout for that Wednesday at midnight. I'm about to cut some videos today and tomorrow to drop. In the meantime, in between time, just to keep some conversations going. And I can't call it a master class because I'm not a master last call. But what I will say is this: I am a person that has been willing to learn and is still willing to learn. And if somebody taught me something that helped me or that can help somebody else not hit the fuck ups that I did, then why not? You know what I mean? And again, if you already got it mastered, more power to you. Please chime in with your thoughts and comments in the comment section so that I can learn, because I'm open sponge. I'm always looking to soak up new information and knowledge that can just make me better. And thank y'all to my pod squad, man. We literally couldn't do this without y'all, man. We the conversations that we wanted to have and the amount of learning that we have done as three brothers, just from y'all and the thought-provoking chats and comments that y'all drop and the ways that y'all push us in certain directions, like it just is overwhelming. I've learned so much in this past, well, however many months it's been since November. Um, and I look forward to more that I'm gonna learn from y'all. So to the pod squad that I've seen here today, K Hyde, Last Call, Honeybee, shout out to Face and Pat for both dropping in. Shout out to Be Accountable for dropping in. Who am I missing? If I'm missing somebody, please blame the head, not the heart, and blame the fact that I can't see it here on the chat. But if you were watching from the clouds, thank you. If you're watching this on replay, thank you. And again, if this is the first time you've ever seen any content from the partners, think about subscribing. Please catch our podcast that comes out every Wednesday night at midnight. And just like and share and support in any way you can. And we love y'all. Till the next time, man. We out. Peace, family. Peace.